Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. Today is release day for our 2025 Stitchy ornaments. So if you're new to my channel or you just haven't seen them before, every year I release cross stitch and quilt ornaments. I will put a link on where you can get previous years below this video. Also throw up some photos here really quick so that you can see some of the previous year's ornaments that we've done. And today we're going to be talking about our 2025 Stitchy ornaments. So here is what the ornaments look like. I'm going to be showing you a little finishing tutorial here in today's video as well. I thought they were super cute. I just used a wooden ornament. I also have some cute velvet ribbon, and you'll see the ribbon actually changes colors based on some of my fabric background here. And then we've got our cute little stitchy ornament in the middle. The stitchy ornaments this year and the quilty ornaments are matching our candy cane lane quilt. So we've got a quilt, we've got quilt ornaments, and we've got the cross stitch ornaments. So we're having a lot of fun decorating with these this year. I'm going to show you all of the ornaments. I have all of mine done, and then after we go through those, I'll show you my finishing. You can of course finish them however you want, and you can even check with previous year's finishes if you don't like this version, and you can do something totally different. I did want to mention really quickly that we do have kits available in limited quantity for these. They include everything that you need to finish your project the way that I am here. The only thing not included is I did some white paint on my discs. These are unfinished wooden ornament discs. I just did a quick layer of white paint on there. I only did one layer, so it's almost even looking a little bit like off-white because I didn't do two layers. And then I actually sanded the edges a little bit just to make them look a little bit more vintage or antique. The other thing that's not included is fabric scraps, because as you'll see in the video tutorial, I put some fabric behind my little stitched pieces just to give it something a little bit extra. So I don't have the fabric included in the kit, and then I didn't include white paint in the kit because I thought you could either not paint them, you could paint them any other color that you wanted, and then for the fabric, I thought you could just use any scraps that you have in your stash. But everything else is included in the kit that you need to finish it, and I'll go over all of the kit inclusions as soon as we start the video tutorial for this so you can see everything that's included in the kit. But first, let's take a quick look at all of the ornaments. So here's ornament number one. I finished it with a red backing and a pink ribbon. And I'm actually going to hold these up together because here's ornament number two. For this one, I used a red ribbon and a pink fabric background. So I alternated. All of the odd numbers have red backgrounds with a pink ribbon, and all of the even numbers have pink backgrounds with a red ribbon. And in your kit, you do get enough ribbon of the velvet ribbon in pink and red to do 6 of each. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll tell you about that in a little bit more detail here in a second. But anyways, here's ornament number one. Here's ornament number two, and as you'll see, they all have the houses, but then the stars on all of the ornaments are what is different. Here's ornament number three, and you might also notice that some of the houses are facing different directions. On the quilt, the houses are facing different directions as well, so I thought it'd be fun to do that with the cross stitch ornaments as well. So here's 3 and here's 4. Here's ornament number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and ornament number 12. Now, I left the backs of all of my ornaments blank, but if you wanted, these would be really cute to put on gifts as like a little gift tag, and then you could put the person's like to and from and maybe the year on there, or you could put their name in the year or whatever. I think that would be really, really cute. I just left mine blank, but you could definitely decorate the back if you wanted. You could even put another of the little fabric discs on the back as well, and then put like a little label on there. So there's a lot of options on finishing these off, but I thought these little wooden ornaments were really cute. Okay, so that's all of the different ornament styles. Like I said, they're matching our candy cane lane quilt this year, so hopefully you guys are going to enjoy that as well. Let's go ahead and dive right into today's tutorial, and I'll show you how I'm finishing off our ornaments for this year. So quickly, let's go over what's included in the kit. By the way, they are limited kits, and so if you are interested, make sure that you stop this video and run over and grab your kit and then come back and finish watching. So the first thing in your kit is the candy cane lane pattern. This is a full color 8x10 pattern. It's really nice, high quality color print. It has information about the stitch piece, it has finishing instructions for the whole cloth and for the ornaments as well, so you can finish it either way. And then inside are pages with charts for each individual ornament. There's a whole chart in the back if you want to do that. And then obviously all your floss and requirements are on the back of the pattern as well. You also get this adorable little mesh bag in the olive color. It's super cute. You can actually cross stitch right on the bag, and it has enough room to fit all of your supplies inside. Inside you'll find a cute little bag with all of your goodies inside. We've got our floss, and that comes with all of the colors that are required to both make either the Stitchy or the whole cloth version. I'm not sure if you'd have enough of the white to make both versions. You might have to get an extra skein of white if you want to make both, but you do have all of the colors of floss in your kit. The other thing that is included in your kit are the velvet ribbon, and you have 2 yards of both the red velvet and the pink velvet, so it's enough to make 6 ornaments of each. You're also going to get a size 26 tapestry needle. It's just on this little piece of batting so it doesn't get lost in everything. The fabric is also included in the kit. This is enough fabric to do either the whole cloth or the ornaments, not both, and it is 14 count Zweigart fabric in the mushroom colorway. I've also added in 12 of the wooden ornament pieces for your finishing. Like I mentioned, I did not include paint. If you would like to paint them, you can. I just did a really thin layer of white paint. I actually used gesso, and then I just sanded the edges to give it a little bit of a more aged look. But you can do anything you want. You could also just leave them so they're really nice quality ornaments, and you get 12 of those. The other thing included in your kit are the 12 cardboard or chipboard discs that I use to mount the Stitchy piece on. Now I did put batting on the back of those just to make my piece a little bit puffier. I did not include that in this kit because I figure most of you probably have quilt batting or something you can use at home, but I just put a little piece on the front of each one to give it a little bit more dimension. The other thing included in this year's kit are these adorable needle minders. They are magnetic, so you can magnet them onto your fabric and then they keep your needles, and they are in assorted shapes and sizes, so they're all going to be a little bit different. And then also I added in these cute red polka dot scissors. They're adorable, they're nice and sharp, and they're perfect for these smaller projects, and everybody's getting the red and white. And so that's everything that's going to come in your kit, so enough to make all the ornaments, or you could also make the whole cloth version and use the wooden ornaments for a different project if you wanted, or just go out and get another piece of fabric and do both. I think that would also be really fun. The whole cloth version is really cute as well, so I think I want to stitch both of them this year. All right, that's everything for the kit. Let's go ahead and take a look at how to make the ornaments for this year. So I have all of my stitched pieces finished, and then I've taken my chipboard discs and I've just glued them to a large piece of batting, and then I took scissors and just cut them all out so the batting was just the same size as the chipboard. That just gives your stitch piece a little bit of extra dimension. And then like I mentioned, I did paint my ornaments with just a really thin layer of white paint. The next thing we're going to do is take one of our stitched pieces, and you can see I've drawn a circle on there. I just took one of my chipboards and centered it on my stitched piece. You could hold this up to a window, you could use a light block box, just so that you have it centered on that ornament and you can see all of your little stitches. They're gonna go quite close to the edge for this one. And then I just make sure that it's all nice and centered, and then I draw a circle on the back of the piece with just a friction erasable pin, or you could even use a pencil. You're not gonna see that. And then we're going to use that circle as a guide to trim our piece, and then just cut around your piece, giving yourself about a 3/4 of an inch or so distance from your drawn line. And I started doing the first piece with a pair of scissors, and then I realized that using my rotating mat from, I believe this is June Taylor, I will link this one below, but it spins really nice and neat. I went ahead and used that to trim all my pieces because it goes a lot faster. And so I just grabbed my rotary trimmer. This one happens to have a scalloped blade on it, which is perfect for these. It helps keep the fraying to a minimum, and I just went around that edge, and using the rotating mat and your rotary trimmer makes it go really, really fast. The next thing that we're going to do is take 2 strands of embroidery floss, and I'm just tying them in a knot. And I usually use about maybe 20 to 30 inches of floss for this, so I always make mine a little bit too long because better too long than too short. We're just going to start off by tying a knot in one end, and then we're going to thread it on to our needle. And then we're just going to start making a running stitch around the outside edge. Now to get it started, because we are going to be gathering this, I want there to be some extra strength there. So I'm actually going to go back in where I started and just make a little loop right there. That's going to give us a little bit of extra strength when we go to tug on our thread to gather our fabric. And then after that, it's really easy. You're just going to do an in and out motion, creating a running stitch all the way around the outside edge of your stitched piece. And I'm not too careful about this. Honestly, I just go really fast. It does help it gather a little better if you go through the holes that are already in the fabric. I can't say that I was perfect about doing that. I was, just going as fast as I could just to get this portion done. And I actually sat down and watched a movie and I did all of them at the same time. It made it a lot faster. And then I came back and finished them all once they were all gathered. And then once you get back around to that front end, I like to leave it so that my thread is coming out of the front side of my ornament. That way when you gather it, your thread is coming out of the right side. And then we're just going to center one of our discs with the batting on it, batting side down on our ornament, and gently tug on that floss. And you just want to be gentle and just kind of coax it. You don't want to pull too hard, or you could break your floss, and that is super annoying. I've done it. That's also why I use 2 strands. They're a little bit stronger. And then you just want to check it, make sure everything looks good and centered. You can still adjust it at this point if you need to. And then once I'm happy with it, I'm going to just run my thread through one of those folds. I create a little loop, and then I'm going to go through that loop twice to create a knot, and that'll just secure that so that my gathering stays put while I am doing the rest of my sewing. The next thing you're going to do is just run stitches back and forth across the back of the ornament. And I just grab like 1 or 2 folds of the fabric there and then just go across it to the opposite side, grab another fold or 2, and just keep going back and forth like that. That's just going to help keep all of those folds nice and tight around the outside of edge of your ornament. It'll make it look a lot smoother along the edges as well. And so I'll just go back and forth and do that around the whole ornament until I'm all done gathering all of those edges, or I feel like it's nice and secure. And then when I'm done, I'm going to do the same thing I did at the beginning, where I'm just going to go through, create a loop. I'm going to run through that loop a couple of times to create a knot and just secure that thread. And then I'll just clip off my thread, leaving a little tail there so it's not poking out. And we're done with our ornament. Next, we're going to take one of our wooden ornament pieces, and if you want, you can just glue your ornament right on there just like that and be done with it all. But of course, we're going to make ours a little bit more fancy, and we're going to add that fabric around the edge. So I'm going to take my piece of fabric, and before I cut them all, I used this acorn starch. I love this. You spray it on one side, spray it on the other side, and then just press it until it's dry. And it's a pretty good starch. It makes your fabric nice and stiff, and it's really easy to use on smaller pieces. The next thing I'm doing is just taking one of my rulers, and I'm just marking about 1/4 of an inch away on all of the edges of my circle. And I'm not being super careful here. I'm just giving myself a guide to cut. Cutting circles is really difficult, trying to make them perfect, and this is just an easy way to give myself a little bit of a line to follow when I'm trimming. So I'm going to take my rotary blade. You've already seen it has this scallop edge on it. This one is from Olfa, and they have a couple different blade styles you can buy, so this is the scalloped edge. And then I'm just going to take that and use my little rotating mat and trim right on that line, using that as a guide all the way around the edge. And you don't have to do this, but it does give your piece a cute little scalloped edge. You could also use pinking shears if you have those. And so I made 6 pink ones, and then I made 6 red, and we're going to go ahead and assemble our ornaments now. And I'm putting the pink houses with the red fabric, and I'm going to put the red houses with the pink fabric. So the first thing we're going to do is just take one of our wooden ornaments. We're going to layer on the fabric and then layer on our cross stitch piece. If you don't want to use fabric, I thought I would share a couple other ideas that I was toying around. This is just some 1/2 inch rickrack. I thought that would be really cute. You could do any color. This is some twine I got from IKEA last year in their Christmas section. I think they release it every year, and it's just a thicker twine or cording. You could put that around the edge. Again, any color you like. You could also do the fabric plus the twine. I think that would also be really cute. Or you could do fabric plus the rickrack. I think any of these options are really cute, and you can have fun finishing these ornaments. All right, let's go ahead and assemble. So we've got all of our pieces together, and we need to add our fabric to our ornament, and the Mod Podge is really the best way I found to do that. So I'm just putting a little bit of a dollop on my paintbrush, and just spreading that around nice and even. This is matte Mod Podge, so even if I get it around the outside edges, it won't really matter. If you have the glossy one, you will see that, so just keep that in mind. And we're just painting a nice thin layer, and then we're just going to press our fabric right onto there and just smooth it out. And this stuff holds it on so well. It doesn't leave any bumps like glue would or hot glue, so I love using the Mod Podge for this step. And then we're just going to add some hot glue onto the back of our ornament to add that on as well. And you're just going to center that and just make sure everything's straight and press down until it's cool. And then the next thing we're going to do is just add our ribbon. Super easy, guys. So for this ribbon, I thought I would do 2 different styles. So I'm going to be tying a bow with my pink ribbon, and then I'm going to be just doing a hanger with the red. So I'll show you that in just a second. But for the pink bow, because it's velvet, I do tie them a little bit weird just so that I have the velvet showing on the front. And so it's just a little bit finicky, but I find this is the best method for doing that. And then you just organize it all, make sure everything looks cute and that your bow is the right size. And then I'm just going to put a little drop of hot glue on the back of my bow, and then just stick it right there on top of my ornament. And then once I'm happy with how that looks, I'll just take some scissors and go ahead and trim off those edges so it's the length I want. Now for each of the ornaments, you have 12 inches of ribbon to work with. So I would probably pre-cut your ribbon into 12-inch segments, and then you can figure out which style you like the best. And then for this one, you just need to add a little string or twine at the top. The other option would just be to do a regular hanger. So I just cut off my 12 inches of ribbon there and threaded it through that top hole of my ornament. And then I'm just tying a knot in the top, super fast and easy for that finishing. And so here's our 2 options. You could do the bow or the tie in the top. If you're going to do the bow, you just need to use some yarn or twine or even just string that you have, and just give yourself a little bit of a hanger at the top for that version. But here they are, our finished ornaments. I would love to see how you're going to finish yours, so don't forget to post your finishes or in progress pics in our Sew With Me group on Facebook. All right, guys, that's it for our Stitchy Candy Cane Lane ornaments. I hope you are enjoying these. I think they're a lot of fun. I love the red and pink this year. The pink is super on trend. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but everybody is releasing pink Christmas decor this year. It's absolutely adorable. I don't have it in the rest of my house. My house is pretty, like, I like to stay kind of woodsy and neutral. I've got cedar garland and soft cream and maybe like a caramel colors going on in there. Sometimes I put a little bit of red, but for my sewing room, that's where all of the fun colors happen. So hopefully you are enjoying our 2025 Candy Cane Lane projects. That's going to be it for today's video. Don't forget that I will put a link below this video where you can get the pattern for Candy Cane Lane. You can also visit my store and just search Candy Cane Lane there. It's store.confessionsofahomeschooler.com, and then all the Candy Cane Lane projects should show up for you. And don't forget to join my Sew With Me group on Facebook. That's a private group, and you can share all of your in progress and finished pics there. You can also see what everyone else is making. That's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit that thumbs up button, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming fun. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next video. But everything else will be in. So here is 4 and 5. Is that right? 1, 2. So here's 3 and here's 4. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can think